We're live.
Chipmunk, and you're listening to the Combo Wombo. So we're gonna put in some post effects there.
Yeah. Well,
I'm here with
Mr. Gimpy. We are going to have like some. You know what? I'm going to throw some lightning bolts in. I'm just going to go like this, and then you're going to hear. It's going to be
Mr. Gimpy, aka Mr. Fresh,
Mr. Cheat on every test. Oh man.
Down.
Right. The young dagger. Yeah, no. I'm. So I had some trouble this morning, man. Like when I texted you before we started, I was like, "Yeah, I'm making coffee." I went, looked at the pot, nothing. It's like, okay. I usually fill this up the night before, but the Connor fight was on last night. I'm like, maybe I did it. Look at the cabinet, nothing. It's just so I'm starting to sweat at this point. So I'm looking at every cupboard. I'm like, I don't have time to make tea. Get out of here. So
Island caffeine withdrawals.
Yeah, man. So I feel it's too early for an energy drink, but that's what I'm rocking today. I feel like my stomach's gonna come back to haunt me right after this.
I wasn't gonna call you out like I'm gonna make a coffee, and then I'm like, is this guy sipping apple juice?
I'm just sipping lean.
It's so early. I'm just gonna go sip some lean. That's how we do it.
So that's
yesterday was rough. Today's gonna be a lot easier.
Hey man, that's all
through this whole day.
For sure. Damn, man, I like the size of your coffee mug, man. I gotta say, this looks like the perfect mug size.
They call it latte size.
Okay.
It's the biggest coffee cup that they sell in like respectable stores. We're like,
right. They're like, you're not a fiend or anything. Like I'm usually rocking like the big ass thermos. It just lasts for like a good 2 hours, but usually it's gone before that. And like the heat retention is like 8 hours, but who the hell keeps coffee that long in the day? But it's just in case.
Just like a little sip, like their little productivity tricks. They're like, I'm gonna get a little thing done, and I'm gonna have a little sip of coffee as a reward.
For sure.
Steady on IV drip of drugs throughout the day.
Sure.
Make some calls, sell some insurance, and then afterwards, a successful sale, I'm gonna have my little sip of coffee.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Throughout the day, my goal is to get rid of this cup and have to refill at work. And if I can't do that, I'm not making sales, baby. I'm not making them figures.
What's that? The ABCs always be selling. Did you spell selling with the C? Fuck you. Is the answer. That's true. That's true.
That's my name.
Glengarry Glen Ross, right? That was that movie, I think. Yeah. Some good shit.
Take the same materials you have and do 100 sales tonight.
Yep. I always loved that. Since Wolf of Wall Street came out, back when I was in sales in the finance industry, the sell me this pen line became super popular, and I attended a seminar with that. And then
it's a common sales seminar thing where they teach you how to sell a pen. Because they're you gotta sell some sort of product, and we're not going to use widgets. So here's a physical thing you got to get in somebody's face.
Right.
And I don't know, there's all kinds of psychological tricks and stuff where they're like, oh, if you just start holding something out, somebody's natural thing will be to grab it from you.
Yep.
You're already one step closer to.
Yeah. You already bought it. You just don't know. That's the thing.
I already got you. There's 1,000,001 tricks.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's crazy. So, this pod, I think we'd have a definite. Just like gaming
you're just gonna cut off right there in your seminar story. Was that it? That was the whole.
No. All right.
It's not like you're going somewhere. And I kind of cut you off with I handed you the psychological pad of
and then I was stuck, man. I didn't know where to go from here. I'm like, I don't want to buy, but
you're like, excuse me, I was literally in the middle of a story. You handed me this.
All right. So
the proverbial pen.
So this seminar it's in this ski resort, right? But it was summer, and everyone who was there last year, and it was actually in winter, so you could ski right after. So I'm sitting next to this dude who's Fortune 500 company, who goes, yeah, this is just like an old school, good old boy kind of a thing. He goes, yeah, if this is my event, we'd all be skiing right now, but we're just gonna be out here with our super soakers, just spraying people like we're kindergartners. It's like, okay, man, yeah, I'm just here for the booze, man. So if you could move away from the table. So I'm getting my way through the crowd, and seriously, every 3 conversations are about Wolf of Wall Street. So like every single time, it's like, sell me this pen. Oh, great scene! I fucking loved it. Yeah, Leo. Then they're like, just doing the beating on the chest and stuff. Like the only 2 scenes, I swear, everyone at that seminar only saw the commercial.
So, that's all I've seen of it, dude. That's I agree totally. Yeah, those scenes I got.
Oh yeah, right. So so I'm sitting here going, and then so I decided to sit down, and I'm sitting at this table. It's I'm the only one from my company because my boss didn't want to go because he hates those events. He's like, yeah, go drink, have a good time. So I'm sitting there, and the guy sits down, and I'm like a movie guy, right? So I saw the movie twice already in theaters. So. Yeah. So I'm sitting there going, yeah, there's a Quaalude scene in it, and that's very, very popular. So I'm he guy sits down, he goes, sell me a pen. I was like, oh, shut the fuck up, dude. Can you talk about another part of this movie? Have you seen it? Do you know who Margot Robbie is, for example? Like, let's talk about her. He's like, nah, I just saw I'm like, of course you just saw the commercial shot. And then so I'm explaining to him.
You ruined the whole point.
Yeah. So I'm like visibly upset and about hearing sell me this pen every 5 seconds, right? So the seminar starts, and the dude I'm sitting at the table kind of just realizes I talked to him, tell him about the movie. He's like, oh, I should actually watch that. So we kind of talk a little bit there and start networking, and then the seminar starts. Lights dim in the conference room. A projector screen comes down. And I shit you not, on the projector screen, the words "Sell me this pen" shows up like fucking bullet points. And I swear, like,
can we add it to the bottom of our thing?
Yeah, we sure can. So I'm just like you can hear the hand slap of my face, just
trapped here for no.
Oh man, like that was one of my it's one of my favorite movies, to be sure, but when you hear something all the time, it gets grating, and I think that's the thing with that's where I wanted to link back into gaming, game dev, stuff like that. That's where like something like that, I noticed if I have a like for something or even a love, sometimes I like it to the point where talking about it too much, one specific part of it, will annoy me. Like I'll take
I can see, I feel I'm the opposite, where really? I can talk about any specific part forever, and I feel like I'm annoying everybody else. Where I'm like, oh, let me tell you about this stupid like little thing I'm doing, and I know nobody cares but me, and I'm just like, here I go, I'm just gonna dug my way down into the subject. It's like there's people who are like sell insurance, and like no matter what the conversation is, it's going to lead back to selling insurance. Yeah, it's like oh yeah, it's great your family's doing that, but have you considered like a whole family plan of insurance? You're like, damn it, bro, can't we just have a normal conversation? And like, no, I can't. I gotta get obsessed with like whatever aspect of it.
Yeah, like for example, like this year, the biggest tentpole release, 2020 biggest tentpole release was Cyberpunk, right? I think that
covered a little bit of it.
Yeah, we covered it. We covered it last episode,
patch 1.1 came out.
Yep.
They're gonna have another patch here in February, but
yeah, and I
think it might be the biggest game 2021 if they put out the modding tools.
True.
I think it'll be huge. It'll be unstoppable force at that point.
True, and I agree with that, and I'll say that the thing, and I think I'll start my playthrough probably February, March or so. I wanted to give it a good.
For it to be on sale, man.
Yeah, that's true.
I wait for like the actual great like modding support stuff to come out. Like you're not missing out, and it's definitely going to go on sale at some point. Like if you waited this long, like
no point.
Yeah, no point. There's nothing in there where it's like everybody's gonna be talking about like this scene of like sell me that pen at the conference. Like there's no scene like that.
Yeah.
like I said, I don't know if you did this for the last one, but like if you just showing like the reviews, like all the negative reviews on Steam, it's like this game's trash, and then like zoom in of like the hours played. Yep. Yeah, because it's all of them. They're like, oh, I hate this game. It's terrible. 90 hours. It's like, I can't believe they actually shipped this buggy mess. 80 hours. Like, oh, there's no content in this game. I was so bored. Like 50 hours. It's like, dude, how much more of a, like, what's a reasonable amount of entertainment, you know, that you can get for like 60 bucks? Like, if you're getting like $1 an hour, like, you won.
True.
I don't know. I go by like movie theater time. Yeah. So I'm like, $10 to every 2 hours.
Yep.
So I'm like, if you get more, like, I'll even put money into like some mobile games, like at that ratio where I'm like, I really enjoyed this. I played this for like way longer than I should have. Yeah. You got me. Here's like $10. I'll take like a cool skin for like the dude I always play. And I probably won't play this ever again because I'm hitting your like real paywall. But, you know, I enjoyed what you put out. It was basically like a demo at that point. And then they're trying to like, you know, get in like the big fish at that point. And I'm like, that's not me, man. I'm going to swim along. True.
Yeah, no, that's a good point on that, and that's a good way to deal with like value for your dollar for your time, because you can't get your time back. You know, you can always make more money, but that time, it's gone.
Precious commodity there is, kid.
Yes, sir.
You can't buy more of it. You don't know how much there is.
Right.
You have to spend it every day, no matter what.
True. And so that's what I was getting at with like CyberPunk. Like I never like it was very refreshing talking to you about it, because you're like, sure, there were bugs. It's kind of overblown. Here's how the game was. I enjoyed it for this, and I loved hearing that versus that game was buggy as hell. Look at this same screenshot I've seen on Twitter for the last month. You know, it's like the bugs. I'm like, dude, you didn't even get this from your game. This is some other user screenshot, and you're using it as an example. Yeah. But it's so egregious. Like, thanks. Like, I get that there's bugs. I gotta edit that out because I got Steam on, so that's all right.
Bro.
Yeah, should have. It's all right.
I'll see all the black overlay novels you've been playing, the Unipop.
Yeah, Hot to Full Boyfriend too. Just getting my Dove love on.
That's right. Could be Dove's art man. The best of both worlds.
Definitely.
Regular Nikola Tesla over here.
Straight up. There is a post that I saw online of if aliens came down and you had to show them one game to what the best example of the human race is, what would it be? And the most upvoted one that I saw was Hatful Boyfriend, Dove Love. I was like, it's the pinnacle. Is that man? So there's been some good developments in the game dev space this week, actually. So it's for those of you.
Well, one second, to put like a pin on a final pin in the nail in the coffin of Cyberpunk.
Sure.
It's like, yes, there was definitely deceit, but like you can't necessarily blame the devs for that. Like a lot of that might have been marketing.
Yeah.
And then I would also say like, I would say like marketing's to blame for the deceit part. And then for shipping a broken product, that's definitely a business decision. That wasn't like the developers. And like, you gotta ship it. Like you're literally losing money like not shipping if you already have like more pre-sales than your cost. The reality of like running a studio is like people have to eat. You have to pay like health insurance. You have to pay like yearly premiums. You have to pay taxes at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we're going to ship this like at 70%, and it is what it is. Like, we already sold these. I don't know. I feel like all the old guard has been saying this since the dawn of time. Is like, don't pre-order a game, don't buy DLC, don't buy, like gotchas in games, because the only reason people are putting those in there and like putting out broken games is because people already bought it. They have no reason, no business incentive to make like a finished good product. If they already sold it, man. They sold you on an idea. They pimped you in a dream. Like, but yeah, let's hear some good news, man.
Yeah. So over the past, since I think 2014 or so, it might be a little earlier than that. So I switched my. So since I'm getting back into game dev, prior I used a program called Construct 2. I moved on from that to Gamemaker Studio 2, which I've been working on the last couple of weeks here. and their pipeline was kind of their parent company was Playtech, who made casino games, and they decided to make like a casual game sector. So they bought Yo-Yo Games, the creators of Gamemaker. And from what I've read and researched about it, which gave me pause to pursuing Gamemaker, was there's been no significant like upgrade or support since Playtech bought them. But
that's like 2012, something like that.
Yeah. But the reason why I chose Gamemaker was the size of the community and the known ease and further support for console releases. So that was like a big boon for me, and the cost to future porting ratio was right for me. So I chose to jump in, and I'm like, well, the community seems big enough where I could work past that. But it was a Tuesday. It was announced that Opera, the guys who made the Opera browser, and they actually have the browser for gamers, they bought Yo-Yo Games, and they're getting
like in Firefox browser.
Yeah. See, I'm a pleb and use Chrome still because
I'm still using Chrome, but when it comes to like launching web games, I use Firefox, dude. Chrome does not Chrome is literally eating all my information. Like you can see, I'm like, why is it eating up all this memory, everything, dude? It's just through the roof. Like the usage, ever hit the Taskmaster and look at Chrome, dude? It's literally burning us. I'm like, this thing's turned my computer into a crypto mining machine, in the background, and the data is mining my data. Instead of giving me bitcoins, it's turned me into the Bitcoin for the company, dude.
That's true, man. With Chrome, man, I gave all of my data to our Google overlords long ago. I got the Pixel phone. I got my Google Photos backed up. I've printed things from them. They know everything about me. I got financing through them, so they have my social. I'm gone, man. There's 4 Mr. Gimpys out in the world right now, just living with my information. And that's all right. I'm okay with it. But yeah, so Opera buys Gamemaker, and that's actually probably the best thing for them, because Gamemaker has an HTML5 export option. Opera is obviously a browser. They're kind of focusing on gamers with integrated extensions for a browser and memory management, so you can actually turn off some of the background memory consumption in browsers. You just click gaming mode, and it stops all background processes. You can actually slow CPU resources to it as well. So for those people, especially on lower end machines, using the Opera gaming browser seems like a solid pick. I know everyone just defaults to Chrome right now, but I was looking into it. I was actually pretty impressed. I am trying this week to run Opera on my work computer. So we'll see how it goes. For work, just kind of for compatibility, I use Edge. Just some of the programs use antiquated Internet Explorer stuff.
I feel like every business, they're like, oh, here's Edge, and you're like, why? And they're like, you'll need it.
Exactly.
I don't know how. And then you're like, okay, yep, I need Edge.
Exactly. So we'll see how compatibility is, but I think that's some great news, especially because after the Playtech purchase, I know that some higher up Yo-Yo Games people just left because there was no direction for them. So
that golden parachute and the bounce.
Yeah, for sure. So I think that this is a huge thing for it, and it could be a nice boost to the Gamemaker community, and I expect to see something pretty big for them.
More development does it need, though? I feel like Gamemaker's a tried and true engine at this point. How much more do you need for a 2D engine? It's I don't know. In Unity, they're doing because this is what I've been using, and kind of for the same reasons you chose Gamemaker. I was like, oh, there's a big community here. You can learn a lot of stuff. It has a ton of problems. There's so many bugs in Unity. How's this a commercial product? How could you put your name? How's this not freeware? Shovelware? This thing crashes on me constantly, and I'm using the cutting edge stuff because they switched to this thing called the Entity Component System, the ECS.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, it's going to use math. It's going to be super fast. And I'm like, this is great. and it's super fast. But the way it gets super fast is it like puts things to memory and then uses parallel processing.
Yeah.
Which is great. But if you have anything else open on your computer, it just crashes because it's using memory and it's not like checking if something else is already using that bit of memory.
Oh, okay, yeah.
At least in like the developer inside the software. Like I don't know, maybe after I make a full build, maybe there's something in there that's like checking. But like when you're like just trying to like rapid develop like a game or a prototype, and you're using any component system, like it'll just crash randomly. You'll just be like, I'm good. This piece of memory is already being used by something else, and now we're going to crash. And I'm like, how is this like a full commercial? Like, why did you think this was the big feature? But they're kind of working on like some 2D stuff. They call it like Unity Tiny.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel like it's almost like they're trying to do too much. They're trying to like have things for the commercial sector.
Yep.
And then they're trying to have stuff for like, I'm like, just be like a game engine. Stop trying all this other stuff. Like, you're not, just cut that off and make it like a separate like business. Like, don't try and be like, oh, we're going to focus on industry and 3D CAD modeling, and we're also going to do stuff if you're an architect. We're going to make like things so you can have like an architectural walkthrough. And I'm like, no, like this is your video game engine. Stop it. They're like, oh, we're gonna put stuff in here if you want to do like 3D animation. And I'm like, nobody wants to do 3D animation in this shitty, buggy, horrible, like broken piece of software, man. Like,
right.
I mean, like,
anything else for it?
Yeah, like Blender, 3ds Max, like the places where I'd make like a 3D model, and they're like, oh, you could do that here now too. And I'm like, nobody wants this, dude. Stop it.
I think there's something to be said about in-engine workflows where you don't have to keep switching between different programs to do different things. If you could do everything in one engine, I could see that. Like a half-baked option is really annoying, but I think I think it could work. I see where they're going with it, but I also see your point of going, I have other things to do this. I need this to make a game. and I get that.
I know like the kind of halfway solution between that is like they tried that as well, like when they had Substance Painter stuff where it's like, oh, you can work in Substance Painter, save it, and it'll automatically update in your project.
Okay,
like the video game, so you can make your textures and stuff and save it, and like, wow, you can see real-time changes to your textures in the game. But like that's great if you have a computer and you're working for NASA. But like most mortals, like I'm not going to be running like 3 high-end like apps that are eating everything, like a Photoshop or Substance or like 3ds Max or like any of that stuff, and be like, oh, this is going to be great.
We have AutoCAD running in the background. Just that's just.
I would say like it's useless for high-end commercial studios because each of those parts is like a separate person's job.
Yeah.
And it's useless for low-end indies because like our computers aren't going to be able to handle having like 3 or 4 things open at the same time anyway. Like I need to open up this thing, work on a texture, save it, and then like open back up Unity and like try it out that way. Like I said, like with the Entity component system, everything's been crashing anyway. So I'm like, I'm like, I can't even have like I was like listening to music like while I'm working, and like I can't really do that because like every time I like hit play, it's like you're gonna crash. You might crash.
For a point of reference, how much RAM are you running?
32 gigs.
32 gigs of DDR4.
Yeah.
Of DDR4 too.
Yeah.
Jeez.
So that's what a point. But it's just the way it's working and assigning information to memory.
Yeah. Oh no,
I'm sure you could find like a flow chart that shows like this is how the Unity component system works. Here's your memory. Here's like everything running in parallel. It's amazing. And it's like it probably is amazing if you have a final build or whatever. But like when you're in the developer mode making things, it'll just randomly crash. It's super frustrating.
Got it.
But
to answer your question to what more can Gamemaker do?
Yeah.
I think that looks like their internal like tutorials kind of stopped with the Playtech acquisition. So I think more internal tutorials on how to make certain like genres, things like that, give people a stepping stone will be pretty big.
That was why I never got into Unreal, man. I feel like there's no good tutorials.
Yeah.
And they started coming out with some stuff where they do like their firesides.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, here's like a 4-hour breakdown from some of our developers on how to do like some simple things and blueprints. And I'm like, this is really useful. And I would just watch those. I'm like, I have no interest in the engine, but I like to have an understanding of how things work in it.
Yeah, definitely. I think that all of the game engines that are directed towards like hobbyist consumers but also has like the AAA studio appeal like Unity. I think that everyone could benefit from a bigger tutorial base, because I know they're like, oh yeah, learn some code, learn that. You can definitely do it, but I think that if everything, just like they're doing like modules for in-engine stuff, so you don't have to use other resources to make your 3D models, make your sprites, make your auto tile assets, things like that. To have tutorials for within engine will be huge for just the game creation industry as a whole. So that's what I hope kind of the next year, 2 years brings, is just more support for helping people take that next step, because they're not going to make the game for you. I think that having more tools that you don't have to scour the internet for is a good thing.
No, like not to harp too much about like Unity, but they also have like that course now where it's like Unity course, and they were charging money for it for a while, and then they're like, all right, just put it out for free. But also we're probably not going to update it as much anymore. So like, it's like kind of like a double-edged sword, where I was like, oh, you're putting up. So the way they were doing it was like they're buying up like a bunch of like bootleg like Udemy courses and stuff and just throwing that on there. And they're like, oh, you can just come here now. This is great.
Oh,
like,
gotcha.
You guys need to like change up the logos and stuff at least, minimum.
Still says Udemy on the bottom right.
And so like they did some of that. They changed up like that, and then they like streamlined.
Sure.
Again, what the problem is, like there's so many different versions of Unity where it's like you could be lost in the sauce, man.
Yeah. I gotta say, so I do like 3D games, and I can see myself making it. I've made like maps before. I think we've talked about this off pod. Just like Unreal Tournament, Quake, Half-Life Gold Source, the with the Hammer editor was the big one. So I could see myself going to do it, but when I kind of sat down and thought, what kind of game do I want to make? It was always like nostalgia hits me more from a creation aspect than it does from like a what I want to play aspect. So that's why I kind of chose like the 2D thing. Like Treasure is one of my favorite studios. Also the Behemoth, and their goal is to like keep 2D alive, and I really like that. And then when I was looking for engines back in like when I first started taking it seriously, I tried Torque 2D, which if you remember that.
Who could forget, bro?
Yeah. I think that one of the Tribes games was like the big AAA release for it, and then they released like Torque 2D, things like that. I made a shmup in that, just kind of testing it. And it was fine, but it seemed a bit clunky, just in terms of if you were making a bigger project. So I was like, okay, I looked at something else. I looked at like early Unity, and for the big complaint that I hear about Unity now is it's terrible for 2D. And back then, it was really bad for 2D.
It's not made for. It's in the name. Yeah. It's Unity. And everyone leaves off this part, 3D.
Yeah.
This is I even hate like all their 2D stuff where I'm like, stop, this don't again, like just branch it out. Like that's the hope I have for like Unity Tiny.
Yeah.
Is that it's more focused on 2D, mobile, and web, and then like the 3D, just have that for big platforms like the PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
and just like focus on both of them. Just be like, you guys do this, you guys do that.
Yep.
But they're trying to integrate. They have like the universal render pipeline (ERPs).
Okay, got it.
Got them ERPs now, bro.
Right, I get it. It's true, man. But yeah, with your
trying to put ERPs on everything, it's just popping up.
I get it. I get why too. It's decent. And then so I just got done playing Cuphead a couple days ago, and then like I'm watching the credits go, and it goes made in Unity. I was like, these magnificent bastards! It's like
you did it,
yeah,
you brilliant fools.
Yeah, because so looking at 2D games, I think Cuphead is like a staple release for what 2D is capable of, and like to do it in Unity where the majority of the game creation community goes, it's terrible for 2D, and they just knocked it out of the park with their like Fletcher style animation too.
I would
so
say
crazy.
They probably wrote a. If I had to guess, not knowing anything like behind the scenes,
yeah,
I would say they probably wrote like a custom engine for handling animation. Because like again, everything they want you to use like machine or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's all made for 3D rigged models, and it uses like a branch system. So it's like even if you don't have a 3D model, or like still use this branching, and it's like nobody wants to use this. Stop. Just give us like have a mode where it just switches to 2D, which they try to do. They have like literally like a button out to like flatten the plane or whatever.
Okay.
But I was like, just have it where I'm going to do everything in 2D. I don't need any 3D animations. So I can take like these same animation strips and just plug them into like a drop down. Like everything they do, they make worse. Like somehow they're like, oh, we've heard that you need controller support, so we're putting in like a controller thing, and it's horrible. It is horrible, dude. I'm like, how do you mess up like the most? You're making a video game engine.
Just throw in X input and call it a day.
It's so bad, dude. Like I have to look for the. Hold on, I'm gonna send you like a picture of this.
All right.
All right. There's the blog post, but more importantly, like the image there. This is that right there.
Yeah.
They're like, this will be better somehow. So like somehow they decide like their new controller system, this would be the best solution. They're like, oh, we heard that you needed things to handle controllers, so we're gonna make it like a spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you talking about, you bad lads? Like, nobody. This is like programmer art. Like, why would you do this to people, to human people? Like, it's fine if you're giving it to like a programmer to deal with, where they figured out like this convoluted system.
Yeah.
Like, take all this and then like put in like a normal human person interface, dude. Like, just give me a picture of a controller with like
it's like the buttons.
Yeah, and then just be like, assign this to this, and like done. Be like, this is an up button that is universal. Like, you don't even have to speak English. 3-year-olds can figure it out. You can barely understand what is going on, and you'll like have some understanding of like these like an input interface, and so just have that picture, that hieroglyph, and then just let me assign things to those buttons. I don't need like a spreadsheet, dude. Just like, let me click this up arrow and then assign whatever keys I want to it. And they have something kind of like that. Looks almost exactly like this spreadsheet, but it's like hidden inside like 2 menus. So it was already kind of there. So like they're like, oh, this is our great new system. This is going to change everything. I'm like, this is the old system with like a new like interface, which is worse than the old interface somehow. Like,
I absolutely love when you're right, like programmer art, but like when UI stuff uses the standard Windows 3.1 grayscale background for everything. There's no like effort. Like I get like that. You know, it's like a developer port. It doesn't have to look pretty. But when you're touting it as something new, you usually would spiff it up a little bit.
Yeah, give it to somebody to be like, hey, man, put a little polish on it, like have a gradient.
Yeah, right. So right. Yeah. Yeah, it looks low effort.
It looks like they just like threw something out to like get people to chill out on them.
I know other engines, like if you have like say an X input device, it'll go out, it'll show you all the buttons, and when you press it, it'll like light up like the Windows like controller option. It looks like that. Yeah. Other things, you have that to map things. Other than that, like when I did it in Gamemaker, I did it purely through code, which I mean, you know, I think that's kind of like the way they do it. I haven't tried it in the drag and drop interface, but it was fine. And I think since I'm looking like at a code block, you can see, but this UI thing, it's a little, so it's a little plain Jane. And then the
sure,
fact
like
that
if I like spent the time to like learn it, like it wouldn't be that bad.
yeah,
But like you want me to pick up like new tools, it's a bit, it's a tall ask. Where like
yeah,
so like I could see the guys who made Cuphead just being like, all right, we're just gonna build some of our own tools and then do everything in house. Like that's the beautiful thing about Unity. It's for all of its faults is like it's pretty open. And you can just like add like things and like whatever you want in front of. Like I've seen people like make like JSON like import exporters. I've seen people do stuff with like XML where they're like, oh, you can just have everything in an XML spreadsheet and you can put things in it. I've seen things people do things with Excel for like if you have like a bunch of dialogue, they're like, oh, you can just have like these 3 cells and then like have like dialogue ascend and then like import that directly and they'll put it into like a dialogue tree for you.
Oh, nice.
Or like even like skills and stuff where they're like you can literally like export a spreadsheet and like import it and you're like, okay, this is great.
Yeah, for sure.
So like it's great for things like that if you know what you're doing, but like it's not newbie friendly. It's not great for a lot of stuff. Like I would say that the only way it's newbie friendly is like it has a huge community and they'll help you figure things out. So
that's kind of back to what we were talking about. Like just community matters in these game creation tools, just to help you figure out stuff. That's big. Yeah, man. Just to that's ridiculous. I'm gonna put this picture up on screen. it's fun. I actually prefer I used Cuphead as the example, and on there where they break it out into mobile, PC, gamepad, VR. They literally have Cuphead on the gamepad part.
There you go. So, man. I didn't put the two together. I was just thinking because that was something I was dealing with. For my game I was working on, the generic quest.
Yeah.
I was trying to make like mobile inputs just for myself. So I'm making this whole game just for my own vanity at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So I can play it on my TV because I was like, that'd be great if I could just sit down with a controller on my TV and play a game I made.
Yeah.
That's the dream. And I was like, okay, I'm building mobile controls and there's no way to assign virtual buttons. So where you're like,
so you have to make the sprite yourself. Okay.
No, so it's like, all right, if you think of things like almost like a website, like you know when you make a button, you want to do something.
Yep.
So I'm like, it would be swell if I hit this and it just tells it that it's an input. You know.
Yeah.
Like this equals joypad 1, this equals joypad 2, this equals joypad 3, or whatever.
Yeah.
That's, you know, it starts at 0 and they go to like 12 or whatever. And then those are like your buttons and everything, and you're like, all right, that way I can just plug in a controller and like test it with a controller while it's on the computer. I don't have to like hit the buttons on screen or like export it out to like a development device to test.
So you can't have like the build running have like a preview thing with a gamepad active? Is that kind of the issue?
They have like. So they have things where it's like you can live stream your game onto like a phone and stuff.
Okay.
It doesn't work. Like I tried like several different videos. Like they're like, put your phone in developer mode, like do all this other stuff. And I'm like, I did it. It's not working. And like every comment like on the things are like, this doesn't work for me. I don't know what's going on.
You see the witchcraft of the guy on the YouTube doing it. It's like, how's he doing this?
Easily. He's just like, you hit this and it works. It just works. And you're like, it did not just work.
Oh man. Oh, that's funny.
So like I just have to like make a build and then like port it over and like install. It's not a big deal, but
yeah.
And I usually just do that nightly and then I turn on and off the mobile controls.
Okay.
So like I'll have mobile controls and I'll just turn them off and then like I have a computer interface controls and I'll use that for testing and then I'll turn them on and boom, port it over. But
got it.
Yeah, ideally there'd be a way to set up virtual buttons.
Yeah,
because everything's mobile at this point. And so like you check the forms and everyone's like, no, you can't do that. Why would you want to do that, asshole? Just tell the button to do like what you want the input to do, idiot.
Yeah. You know? I don't know why your forums are so aggressive.
I don't know, dude. This is what happens.
Life.
Seeing the same question every day. But then like, okay, so this is like to go deeper into the lore. So Unity put out an asset that allows you to assign virtual buttons to keys and stuff in their previous like 2018 release.
Okay.
It's called like the standard Unity asset package. All right. It no longer works. So I pulled
it's literally it's is it called sus standard Unity asset A? So okay, all right, got it.
Sus, dude. They released sus
with an A sub.
So they released this package back in 2018. It allows you to do this. Like they're like, here's a script, allows you to like convert these buttons into like virtual buttons. And you're like, this is fantastic. But they're like, we're no longer supporting this. So they pulled it off the Unity asset store.
Do people just roll back?
They had such an outcry. People are like, okay, we're putting it back out here, but like they don't expect it to work. So I was like, oh, well, let me try this. I tried that. It did not work.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But then like you'll spend like 8 hours, and then I'm like, why don't I just make the button do what I want it to do with the controller, idiot. So you do that, and then you're like, all right, well, this is fine. And then like you're like, in the back of your head, you're like, okay, I have to remember everything that I'm doing here, and then assign it later to a controller script at some point.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at that sweet new tempting spreadsheet controller thing.
Old school UI.
Yeah.
When UIs first came out. Yeah. Love it. So just to kind of put a pin on the game dev aspect of this, do you have
coming out?
Yeah. No. I just want to say, in your own kind of project, do you have anything you discovered this week that improves your workflow or saves you time or anything like that? Or did you figure anything out that was pretty big in your project where you can take the next step?
I would say, like, I've just been trying to stick more to like that list. Like I was telling you about, I was like, oh, it's this great new thing. It's called having a list of what you need to do.
Yeah.
So I've just been like trying to like keep that list of like what I need to do, and then like cross things out, and then carry over like what's left to the next page.
Yeah.
That's been doing pretty good. But then like I'll still get visited by the good idea fair where I try to put in like that anime chick.
Yeah.
It just doesn't really fit. So I'm going to undo all that work. I spent like 3 or 4 days, but I learned a lot along the journey for that.
Yeah. You learned like rigging and stuff too, right? Just to yeah.
So like in the future, if I want to like have virtual anime chicks from that Void creator, I can do that now. No big deal.
Perfect.
It doesn't really fit for this project, but you know, sometimes you got to spend a couple of days to get something to work before you realize like it really doesn't work. You know
True.
It works, but it don't work. Like it doesn't fit.
So don't be afraid to go back on what you did if it's not working. Don't force it into the project.
Yeah. Just because you like was it the sunk cost fallacy where I'm like, oh, I spent 3, I just have to use it now. But I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What about you? Did you learn anything new? Any hot tips and tricks on your project?
For me, so I am not a artist at all, but I can make placeholder stuff, and I kind of had this like enlightened moment to just because I was looking at old projects I made, and I'm talking when I was like 10 years old to like 13 years old. I used to love making like just little animations. Like I did like stick figure stuff, that I did like those little big head characters that I made. I just made like full on animations. I had like a 4-minute like animated GIF of like this fight scene that I made when I was 11 years old. The art's crude, but I actually took the time to step by step keyframe everything, and it was actually for me being 11 or 12 years old or 10. It was smooth as hell, and I was impressed with myself. It's like, damn, I made this when I was that young, and so that, like, looking at it, like on the project I'm working on, we use our buddy as the artist, and he does programming and stuff too. So and I'm like, well, if I learn more of the programming stuff and I do the level design, I can take stuff off of his plate. And it's like, and I don't need him to rush out a programmer asset for me to use. But looking at it, I was like, I used to do this. Like, why am I afraid to do this now? I should just get out of my own head. So what I did is I pulled, it's really not. And so I pulled my old tablet out, drew some stuff, made it, and started animating. And then I'm like, I making an animation and doing like frame by frame was fine with onion skinning, and I was like, there has to be an easier way. So I did some research and looked up some of the programs that I already had from just like Humble Bundles and stuff, and I had there's two programs that I know of, well, three, but I haven't tried the other one. Spine, Spriter, and Dragon Bones. I actually own Spriter, so I decided to load that up. Read a quick tutorial and ended up making just pieces of assets like a head, body, arms, and the joints separately. Made bones and pivot points, and I probably, after watching the tutorial and probably like an hour later, I now have, using skeletal animation, I have a good walk cycle, run cycle, a jump. I did all of this in an hour without like keyframing everything or using like just the actual actuation points or whatever for animation. So that sped things up, and it made my placeholder programmer art look way better. So, and I think skeletal animation can get to a point where you have where it looks like paper dolls, but I actually took the time to animate properly to where it's a lot smoother. So I'm really excited about that. Outside of like the joint project like that we're all working on, that I'll definitely reveal more later on. I have like like a personal hobbyist thing. It really streamlined that. So I was actually really excited about that. So nothing like programming or like learning anything big in Gamemaker. It's more like the workflow and just being more comfortable with it is kind of what I discovered, and it really reignited my old like love for making things move. There's something about something that you created actually having life on screen.
Absolutely, where you're just like, oh, it's working how I thought it would work. This is great.
Yeah. So it's really really awesome. So
I have almost like a reverse like sadder story of that.
Okay.
Where it was like where I was working on my anime waifu for the game.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I was like doing the textures, like I was like painting textures for it. And I was like, I'm doing all this just to be doing this. This is what I enjoy doing. Like just working on this. Yeah. And I was like, I can't even do a good job because I'm just like trying to get it in here. Yeah. I still spent like 3 or 4 hours just like painting like some clothes. And I was like, this is great. This is what I want to be doing. And I was like, oh yeah, I got to make this whole other game just to do this. So
yeah, man. So just everybody listening, or if you're watching, just kind of embrace the small aspects of your project. You don't have to just discover like some new like programming trick to streamline your game or something big like you figured out networking on your own and it works fully.
I would also say like be careful not to fall into the trap of looking for like a perfect tool that'll do things for you. At a certain point, like the secret ingredient is like you just like doing the hard work. There's like definitely options out there, but like you get kind of looking for like a piece of hardware or software or like the perfect tool to help you like aid you in like whatever you're trying to do. And you're like, oh, if I had this or that, like I'd be way better. There's certain things that definitely help, but like I said, like where I was working on that texture, I was using like Photoshop. So people are like, oh, what are you using? I also have like Substance Painter, which like allows you to bring in a 3D model and paint directly onto the model. And like I didn't use that, and I have that, and I'm like, oh, I have to probably relearn this because I have to relearn it every couple of months.
How to do it?
And I have like a lot of old man issues with that with Substance Painter. But so like there's no perfect tool. Like there's just good tools for whatever job you're doing. And there's definitely things that'll make things easier or whatever. But I would say for everything that like costs money or whatever, there's like probably a free alternative that works just as well. And like you're the secret sauce to it. It's like sit down, not being afraid. Like most of the time, I think it's just like us in our own head, like you're saying, where you're like, oh, how should I do that? I can't really do it. And then like you sit down, and you're like, it's actually a lot easier than I was making it out to be. And like, there's a lot of great resources out there too to like learn new things.
Yeah. So that's what I looked at. I'm like, if I'm stuck like on a programming thing, just do the art. If I'm stuck on the art, just flip back. I think it's nice. I feel it works two different sides of your brain too. but it gets it going. Yeah, no, it's awesome, man. So looking forward to kind of see what you have, in the pipe going, because I saw a little preview of what you're working on, and it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd say like there might be like some mental fatigue here too on my end, because I'm like, the last part's just basically finishing up the game. Like, it's not going to be like a full game. I was like, oh, it's going to be like this one quick dungeon. That I just kind of want to get done with.
It's a test.
Like I always like kind of get up to a point, and then I'm just like, maybe I should be trying. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think like maybe like subconsciously, like I'm just like afraid to like just finish it. Yeah. Put it out there. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was gonna say there is a definite thing with creators where that final hurdle of finishing and releasing is the biggest mountain to climb. And I don't know if for you it's opening yourself up to criticism, or if it's the final polish, so you're playing it, and even though like everyone else around you will say this is great, release it, or it's done, you yourself always see little things that you could fix, so you'll never release it. I think like in terms of video stuff too, I had to overcome that myself with some older projects that are sitting on my YouTube. Like they're done, and now I'm switching gears. But it's not good enough. It's not good enough. It's like you have to get over that hurdle just to do it. Do it, get better. You have a record of what you've done. I think that's kind of like for me. It's just like taking that leap.
For me, I feel like this is how messed up I am psychologically. Where it's like it's a Schrodinger's cat, where it's like neither dead nor alive until you open up the box type of thing.
Yep.
Where I love the creative process, and I'm like, there's always more that can be done on any project, and it's like if I just stop working on it, like the possibilities are endless. But as soon as like I cap it off and be like, all right, this is done, ship it, then like those possibilities are done. It's like even like. For like just like that basic like clicker game I made, like in my head, like every once in a while I'm like, oh, I could do this or that, and I'm like, oh, that it's done. Stop thinking about it. Like I'm not gonna go back and like fix that up. I'm not gonna like relook at this code at any point. It's like I gotta use those lessons and like move on to the next project or whatever. So, and like I've been having like more and more ideas, and that's like another problem I have, where I get visited by like the good idea fairy, where I'm like, oh, I can make this game or this game next. I could do this. Like in my head, I'm like, oh, I should make like a 3D survival horror game, like Resident Evil 1, like in that style, Resident Evil 1, 2.
It's like a tank controls and stuff? Or
tank controls. Like I want it to look like PlayStation graphics.
Hell yeah.
And I'm like, I can do that. I know everything I need to know to like make this. And then like, it would have to be a comedy at this point, just because like everything's moved on from those ideas.
Yeah.
So like I'd have to like have like a good like B horror film theme, and like so in my head I'm like starting to put like this thing together. I'm like, all right, so like I'm already leaving my current project and like, in my head like cheating on it with a new project. Where it's like I have like 5 or 6 things on my list that aren't hard to do, and I just need to sit down and do them. Like they're just going to take time at this point.
We get that.
But yeah,
I love that good idea fairy. I'm gonna just keep coming back to that because it's really good. I think one thing that helped me in the past, that once I get more comfortable with Gamemaker, is game jams. Just working for something, giving that little timeline to where if you're gonna submit, you're forced to end on a certain time, but at the end of the day, when you look at a project, you're like, there's still more I can do, but you released something. So I think having that something released is a great, at least for me, it's like at that endorphin rush of I did it, so once I get a little more comfortable with Gamemaker, I can definitely see myself doing some like weekend game jams and stuff, and it'll give us a little more content to talk about here.
We both get like those same endorphins for like every little milestone we hit too.
Yeah, like, for sure.
I'm sure you had that same like thing as soon as like in Sprite, as soon as you like finished export and you saw the animation, they're like, I did it. This is it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm showing everyone. I'm showing my wife, and she's like, yeah, that's cool. Damn it! No, you don't understand.
That's exactly what it's supposed to do. Like I was like showing you like the start screen for my thing. I'm like, check this out. This is great. I'm like, yeah, all right. Like, no, it took me like 12 hours to do that.
Yeah.
You're like, okay. You're like, I'm like, I didn't even make the explosion star. I just like got it over from like this other kit I bought. And you're like, yeah, okay. It looks great. It looks like how it's supposed to look.
It does look good. Yeah, that's right. You're
like, it looks good. Like, nobody cares if it looks good and it works. Like, you only notice things like when it's programmer art, and you're like, why would you like give this to human beings to use? Like, is this a spreadsheet?
Like, true. I don't
know. That's like that story from like Castlevania, like where like they have like that menu, like that's programmer art, and they're just like, yeah, we just left it in because we didn't have time. Like, oh, we'll go back and we'll fix this menu, and they never did.
Yeah. That was that Symphony of the Night, or was that Dracula's Curse? I can't remember.
I want to say Symphony of the Night.
Okay. Yeah. Because that's it's amazing. AAA studio doing the same thing. So yeah, that goes to show, like, from AAA to single developer to hobbyists, just everyone has like the same same
process.
Same process.
Like, we'll fix this later.
Yep.
We just need placeholders for now, and we'll come
back
if
you end if you end a video or something, you're like, yeah, I'll fix that in post. You release, you're like, oh yeah, I didn't fix that. It's like that point earlier where I'm like, I'm gonna edit that out. I don't. It's just there.
It's just like a 5-minute pause.
Yeah, exactly. Just the most staring,
just, like, looking at our keyboards, and like, man. You don't even add in the picture. It's just us being like, oh, okay, like just reactions.
Right, for sure. That's good.
You guys can't see what I could see, but yeah, if you could.
Yeah, right. If you imagine, use your imagination goggles.
Imagination space.
Yeah, dude.
I think like you painted a pretty good picture anyway, like a Windows 3.2 graphical. Like grayscale, like default.
So I just kind of wanted to just end on just what I played during the week. And that, I said earlier, was Cuphead. I didn't get the game right away, despite wanting it, because I kind of had a hang up. I was like, I want to play this co-op with someone. It'll be fun. It didn't have online multiplayer. Pandemic times, and also before that, I had, my kids were just born, so there's no time to really bring people over and play locally or go somewhere.
Yeah, teach the kids to play.
Exactly.
Pick up them sticks.
Exactly. Right.
Number 2 for Cuphead.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, my daughter did play Tekken with me for a little bit. She was smashing around the controller, so that was fun. But I picked it up for the Steam Winter Sale, loaded it in, and I did it like before my Saturdays are retro streams. I just decided to test the game right before the retro stream, and it hooked me like no other game has hooked me in a long time. He literally reached out and just grabbed me. He's like, no, you're playing this. So I just had to load up the stream with Cuphead, man, and I beat it this Saturday. It was incredible, man. Like, from start to finish, it was incredible. My favorite Contra is Contra Hardcore on the Sega Genesis, which is essentially like the boss rush Contra. It's considered like one of the harder Contras.
The one with the werewolf, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
The best Contra.
So, yeah.
Robot.
Yep,
the robot, a werewolf, or a girl, dude.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Love the characters. Yeah, and it had multiple paths. Yeah, yep. So it definitely gave me
that 90s radical. We're talking about the wrestler Rikishi.
Yep.
And like how he had like the worst gimmick to sell was just like slamming people in the face with his butt.
Yep.
And I was like, that guy took that gimmick and like turned it into like an amazing, like, one of a kind thing. Like, he sold that so well. Like, they kept putting him on over and over again. And I was like, if you took a picture of Rikishi, he's basically the definition of radical, like 90s radical. Like,
the sunglasses too, for the too cool sunglasses. Yeah. Like, to this day, like, well, he took, like, when he joined Too Cool, it became Too Cool and Rikishi. He took that and just ran with it. He like Too Cool like left the company, or like got fired. Something happened to him, I think. And like Rikishi kept that theme, and even now when he comes back for like Legend Night or whatever, he still uses the Too Cool theme and does the little dance and has the old school like 90s sunglasses. It's fantastic. You're right, man. You're right, just take it and run. It's fantastic. Yeah,
it's the 90s, man. You could have like a werewolf and a robot.
Exactly. So yeah, Cuphead did it the animation style, which everyone and their mom like looks at and goes, that looks amazing. Was great. But all of the boss fights were so well thought out, and so just let us find the pattern. There is absolutely zero amount of BS in that game. you could figure everything out, and just do it from pattern base, and the animation quality, the music, just it had such a great atmosphere. It soaked up everything, and I enjoyed the entirety of the playthrough. The only disappointment I had was because I built it up too much in my head. Was the final boss fight with the devil? I beat it on my third try, and I thought it was way too easy. But then after I slept on it, I'm like, wait, I actually took the time to actually learn this game, so I'm like a god at the controls. At this point, controls and pattern recognition, things like that. So it's like the game taught me how to be this good at it, to the point where I get to the final boss and I have like the easiest time. So I like 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, 2 thumbs up, man. Loved Cuphead. Wish I would have played it.
Stars and shurikens do you give it though?
5 ninja stars, 2 shurikens. That man's dead. That's what it is. So yeah, Cuphead, can't recommend it enough.
All the boys have just been playing the battle royales, man. So I ended up playing some Escape from Tarkov.
Yeah.
Still not enjoying it. It feels like Arma Light. Like they're like, oh, we want to make this like a gritty, realistic. And I'm just like, stop. Like, no. Like, I'm here to play a video game, dude. Like, we're not. Yeah. This is dumb. Like, it doesn't have like basic quality of life things where it's like, just show me my teammates' names on the screen. So we don't end up shooting each other every 5 minutes. How about that? Like some easy things. Give me like a compass. Like you can get a compass in the game. And then it'll show up. Just dumb things like that. Yeah. Whereas the ammo, like you have to know the different types of ammo for the different types of weapons, and then like reload it manually outside of the game, like in like a inventory system. It's horrible. None of that is fun. Like, why would you do this? Yeah. It doesn't make me feel like the Punisher, like loading up my arsenal to go out and like pwn people. Like it makes me feel like I need to pull up Wikipedia to figure out like the convoluted items and weapon system you put in this game. So I would say like fix the ammo, fix some of the interface things, like the whole base building thing. Like probably needs to be redone. I don't know. So it is what it is. Like aside from that, it does like a pretty good job at what it does, but it's basically a slot machine. Yeah, like that's how it gets you in. That's its hook. Yeah. So you can play as like the PMC, and that's where you take your inventory and you go into the world and like you try to complete like objectives. Like there's like a bit of a story mode and stuff. Yep. Or you can play as like the scav. Yeah, and like you try and like run out, get loot for your inventory. So basically, it's like you're gambling on the PMCA. Yep. Or the PMC, where like you're gambling your loot that you've worked for to try and get more loot. And if you're unsuccessful, then you go negative. And then you're gambling with the scav to try and get loot and like get to the extract. So it's like 2 different slot levers that like kind of I get you hooked in. And I'm like, I see what you're trying to do. It's not going to work on me. The weapon reloading and stuff and like the different ammo types, I know that's what people are enjoying. And I think they went for a more realistic tinge of it, which I mean, I get why it's not working on you. I like Tarkov. I just didn't have the time to like learn it. I think when I first got Tarkov, like a year, 2 years ago, maybe, when I played it, I was like, this is pretty fun, but the servers are pretty bad at that point. So I ended up reinstalling Stalker and doing a full playthrough of that, which I love Stalker to death. So if Tarkov could get more towards Stalker, and I'm really looking forward to Stalker too, I think the world will be a better place. I think I've said this before, where like I'm a weirdo, where like I enjoyed like those 90s arena shooters. Yep, no, same. So like I either want my game to like be a bit arcadey, skill based. Yep. And like those don't really exist anymore. Like so I played the other game I played a bit of was like Apex Legends. And like that's the same reason I rage quit Overwatch. Is like you can unload like a full clip of ammo, like headshots on somebody, and like they're still going fine. They're like, ah ha ha, I have the gold helmet, asshole. And you're like, what is this, dude? Yeah. And then they'll turn around and hit you twice, and because like you didn't find like the right RNG loot, like you're dead. And they have like a an okay gun, and you're like, oh, I just got bodied. Just got like slightly better loot than me. Like This doesn't feel fair. And they try like offset that with like the skill system. So like, I don't know, both these games like require time to learn. Like that's where I'm at. And I'm like, I don't want to dedicate the time to learning like the intricate mechanics that are there. And it seems like they're well thought out and they're deep, but that just means more time. So like sit down. I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to like pick up and go pew 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 pew. And like have a good time, you know?
Yeah, man. I think that I gotta wrap up here, just because I hear the children running around upstairs. But I think I'm glad you mentioned arena shooters, and I've said this in the last pod too. Like my gaming experience and likes skew about 4 to 5 years older than I am, because of arena shooters in my PC past. So I think next pod, if you're down, we discuss some of the like the arena shooters and the like kind of 90s like radical era of feel. I think that
absolutely.
Yeah. And
we're gonna have a whole special arena special.
It's gonna be sponsored by fucking Surge and Pepsi.
Male vitality.
Dude, horny goat weed just right at the bottom. Just get that. Yeah,
just male vitality.
It's like the right. Be perfect, man. We're gonna get the Raid Shadow Legends plug. Just on the third pod. They're like, oh yeah, you're talking about games. Here you go. Cause that's how Raid Shadow Legends does it.
Games.
Right, for sure. But all right, man. So for me, Mr. Gimpy.
Teaser.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, guys. So I am Mr. Gimpy, and for Chipmunk, we will see you all next week. We'll discuss some arena shooters and how to improve your libido and natural male vitality.
What you get from arena shooters.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
10 secrets they don't want you to know.
Yeah, man. There's a reason that John Romero ran that ad of John Romero's about to make you his bitch. So
look at John Romero's hair, dude. He shaves it every morning. Think about it.
True. All right, guys. For all of us, take care. We'll see you next week.